As the polls closed in Iran's latest parliamentary election, the atmosphere was fraught with skepticism and cynicism, particularly among opponents of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei's regime. Critics have denounced the election as a sham, with claims that voting in such a managed process is meaningless. The significance of this election cannot be overstated, as it represents the first gauge of public sentiment toward the government since the widespread outcry following the death of Mahsa Amini in custody in 2022. The country has been reeling from some of the most severe political instability since the 1979 Islamic Revolution, and the hopes of the clerical rulers to mend their relations with the populace hang in the balance. The legitimacy of Iran's government figures largely depend on voter participation, yet even the official numbers suggest a turnout of around 41%, a slight decrease from the previous low of 42.5% in 2020. Ordinary citizens like Reza, a teacher from Sari, are expressing their disenchantment, with many openly choosing abstention as a form of protest against the restriction of social freedoms by the regime. The sentiment was echoed by Nobel Peace Prize laureate Narges Mohammadi, a prominent women's rights advocate who is currently imprisoned and has labeled the electoral process a sham. In stark contrast, Iranian state television broadcast a much more optimistic view, showcasing voters casting their ballots in various conditions and localities, even amid inclement weather, with some expressing their votes were to please the supreme leader. Khamenei himself has declared voting a religious obligation and was among the early voters, signaling the importance he places on the elections. Despite attempts to accommodate more voters, including extending voting times thrice, on-the-ground reports told of sparsely filled polling centers, particularly in Tehran and other major cities. Campaigning was dominated by hardliners and conservative candidates, further suggesting that the outcome may continue to shift power dynamics within the government. Activists and opposition figures took to social media platforms to discourage participation. Hashtags such as Vote No Vote and Election Circus gained traction, calling upon citizens to recognize that their participation would inadvertently endorse the Islamic Republic's governance model. As the region simmers with geopolitical tensions, including conflicts involving Iran-backed groups and their confrontations with Israel and U.S. interests, the low voter turnout is indicative of a growing disillusionment among Iranians. Experts suggest that many no longer believe the ruling clerics are capable of addressing the dire economic circumstances marked by mismanagement, corruption, and crippling U.S. sanctions. While state media have reported good participation rates, the limited enthusiasm in the polling stations suggests a nation that is at a crossroads. The absence of significant moderate, conservative, and reformist challengers further underscores the critique that this election is neither free nor fair. The final results, expected soon, may not change the narrative of unrest and dissatisfaction in Iran, as authorities seek to establish stability and order in the wake of declining public confidence in the clerical establishment.